Hello, everybody, and welcome here to my This Is Us review. Here for this week's episode of Season 3 as we're moving closer and closer. Slowly closer and closer, of course, as we're starting the back half of the new season, or back half of the third season. But still, closer and closer, of course, to the finale of this season. It's really interesting, but let's just jump right into it. Enough rambling. Follow me on Twitter at army_strong_06, Snapchat, Instagram at StevieK_06. But starting with just the beginning, I mean, hey, This Is Us doesn't, they know how to unfold a great big family mystery, don't they? I mean, in retrospect, last week's April mid-season premiere seems like it was all but a lead into Zombie Road Part 1, which reveals what happened to Nikki across the three equally compelling timelines. This is the show at its best, controlled, focused, and emotionally transfixing, I would say for sure. And that's why I like the show on how it is written. We left last episode on Kevin and Zoe discovering that not only did Nikki survive the Vietnam War, if a newly discovered postcard is any indication, but Jack knew. Kevin had been reluctant to tell his family, but now, armed with an address, he feels prepared to unveil the truth. Sitting in a room with his mother, Randall, and Kate via Skype, he says flatly that Nikki's apparent hometown, Bradford, PA, is a 6-hour drive away. He proposes a family road trip. Rebecca, in a quiet, deep pain over the news manner, declines. Randall enthusiastically agrees to go, if only he later tells Beth to be there for Kevin if they don't find Nikki. And Kate initially says no, reasonably explaining she's too far away and newly pregnant. And because a few scenes later, where she's on Randall's doorstep, the Big Three road trip commence. This section of the episode plays in alignment with the period following the Vietnam War, in which Jack, father of three young kids, husband of Rebecca, seemingly leaving Vietnam behind. He's trying to ignore the many postcards he's receiving from Nikki, each signed Clark Kent. His brother is alive, and from what he can glean, he's not surprised to see this. Finally, he gets a postcard, which the same Bradford address, Thornburg Road, reading just last one. It's worrying enough to spur Jack to finally face whatever happened between them. He lies to Rebecca, saying he has a lumber yard. His company is contracting up to Trenton, and says goodbye to his children. Simply the visual of Jack saying goodbye to Rebecca in the past, and the three kids saying goodbye to Rebecca in the present, are expressing only a confusing sadness in each. It is deeply affecting, for sure, to me. The show effectively mines these parallels and contrasts throughout throughout the episode. So much of the Pearsons' experience across timelines is unknowable in this episode. Jack doesn't know where his brother is living, what his life is like, or whether he is in danger when he drives up to his trailer by a lake from when they were kids. Nikki loading up, he'll own a big lake house with a boat. He's not exactly living the dream. The fact emphasized when Nikki opens the door to greet his brother, looking worn. In the present, Kevin is overly enthusiastic by the prospect of discovery, Randall trying to keep it together, and Kate battling feelings of betrayal. The reality of either of them still sucking in. As the siblings arrive, Nikki's trailer looks exactly the same as it did some 30 years earlier. Only when they knock, no one's there to greet them until an adult, Nikki, played by Griffin Dunn, shows up behind it. Boom. Crusty, grouchy, and melancholy disorder, Nikki possesses the same temperament as the troubled kid we've gotten to know. He asks the big three if their dad knows they're visiting. He's not aware his brother died decades ago. He absorbs every detail silently, like he got. It's wrenching to watch, and Dunn plays it brilliantly. Well, soon know what happened to Nikki, But in the actor's portrayal, the haunt and regret is all over his face and all over him in general. Songbird Road is also not this is a skits. This episode's centerpiece, the position of Jack's final and being with him. The pair skirt around the elephant in the room with small talk of Nesquik and family memories. Every time Nikki tries to go deep, Jack rebuffs him. But the latter meeting is revelating. Kevin asks why Jack would pretend Nikki was dead, and while Nikki initially tells his niece and nephews to leave, Kate stands up to him and all but demands the truth. Nikki acquiesces. He gives them the basics of his service. Your father tried to clean me up. It didn't work. He's pulled me out for tragic reasons. He suddenly appears overcome with angst and anguish, and so returned to Vietnam with a full story. That full story doesn't need to be saying on its own right, and certainly what's interesting with this meeting. I don't know what it does. I mean, I myself was in the service and served. And just, watching a show like this and having to do with military service, though, yes, a different era, older era, it's still. I don't know. It doesn't mean. Affects me in a different way. Let's put it that way. Anyways, keep going. Continue the Vietnam timeline. Sonically, has been done in previous episodes. Songbird Road offers what amounts to a devastating short story. There's Nikki waking up in a field after another period of drugging out. The boy, son of Jackson, mystery woman, hovering over him. Nikki had been cruel with him before, but here they share a living moment, exchanging chocolate glasses. Quickly, Nikki develops an affection for him, and so he decides to take him out fishing. The fishing sequence starts out innocently enough, but quickly takes a sinister turn. Nikki decides to show the boy how to fish, with grenades blowing them up in the water and then watching the fish float to the surface. He's trying to play, but it's beyond responsible and dangerous. And since last we were in Vietnam, we heard a boat explode off screen. And yeah. And get a tragic series of events follows. Nikki gets out another grenade. The boy tries to grab it from him. Nikki accidentally detonates it, and his jump off. Please aren't understood. Nikki is able to get off the boat, but the boy is not. What follows is harrowing. The previously seen montage of Jack racing into the water, panicked, and then what comes next, him rescuing his brother as the boat burns, and seeing the boy's mother breaking down on the shore. Jack sees the boy's shoe in the water and puts the pieces together. He's just a kid. He shouts at Nikki, I'm done. Nikki, meanwhile, is paralyzed with shock. His expression is utterly static as we hear the boy's mother sob and scream. Later, we shift back to the present timeline, where Nikki says his memory of the war is fading, but the sound of the mother crying never leaves him. She's with me, wailing, he says, almost spooked. I worry that that's going to be the last damn thing I remember when my time comes. The tragedy, as Nick sees it, is that I never got to tell him, namely that it was an accident. We got one last glimpse of Jack's checkup on Nikki. The latter does everything he can to tell his brother what happened, but Jack simply won't listen. I want to leave that right where it is, Jack demands. No more. He shows Nikki pictures of his family and leaves. When he heads home, he tells Rebecca the half-truth, admitting he went to see someone in the war he was once close to, and they had a falling out. Rebecca asked if him seeing him helped. He said a little bit, maybe. Jack says, I just don't know. Speaking to the Big Three, and older Nikki says that Jack saw the world in black and white, adding that's why he had 2 lives. He walked away from the first one. Yeah, this presents a more complex portrait of Jack than it's usually comfortable with, and the results are certainly thrilling. The reality is, if Nikki's ability to be believed, Jack did turn his back on his brother. He didn't want to know what happened on the boat. He had a darkness, as Miguel puts it later to Rebecca when they learn Nikki is actually alive, and he couldn't risk that overtaking the new light in his life. But Rebecca, and perhaps the show, doesn't accept the saintly framing anymore. An actually underplayed moment by Mandy Moore, Rebecca replies, I used to love that answer because I wanted to believe it, but now I want the truth. Then there's Kevin, who eventually enthusiasm for digging up the Pearson's past appears to Ben well one. Nikki kicks the trio out after his unburdening, and Kevin and friends begin the long trip back. But Kevin sees an opportunity to correct his father's mistake, not to turn his back on Nikki, not to leave him alone for decades. And someone like Jack, they turn back. They knock, but find the door cracked open. They head inside. There's Nikki, head bowed, eyes all welled. There's all that trauma front and center. And there's a gun placed right in front of him. I never got to tell him it was an accident, Nikki repeats. Randall takes the gun. Kevin puts his hand on Nikki's shoulder. Kate looks on. Here's a darker, deeper story than any of them could have expected. Indeed, but as all I say is that still was a dang good episode. And I certainly did enjoy it for what it was. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review, and hopefully you guys smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, find me on social media. Well, it's snowing again. I was just looking out. Enjoy the rest of your day. And above all else, as always,